हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको अमेरिकन स्कॉलर बाई R.W. इमर्सन्स के एक्सप्लेनेशन के बारे में बताएंगे। फर्स्ट, आवर डे ऑफ से लेकर के 1000 ईयर्स। एक्सप्लेनेशन विद रेफरेंस टू द कॉन्टेक्स्ट इन दीज लाइन्स विच हैव बीन extracted from R.W. Emerson's popular essay entitled The American Scholar. The author tells the audience of Phi Beta Kappa Literary Society that the American people will create their own literature in future. The time has now come when the American continent will fill the world with its literature, which is better than the machines. Emerson expresses the hope that America's dependence in matters of literature upon other countries has now come to an end. So far, the American people had been dependent on the nations of Europe, but now their long dependence has now come to a close. Emerson emphasizes that millions of Americans cannot forever be fed on the state remains of foreign literature. Now they must become independent and produce original works of literature. In America, events and actions are taking place. These must be expressed in American literature and not in foreign literature. There may be doubts about the revival of poetry, but it will certainly revive and will lead the nation to a new era of literature. It will shine as brightly as the constellation of stars called Harp, which now shines brightly in the American sky. Astronomers tell that one day it will shine as brightly as the pole star for 1,000 years. Emerson hints at the advent of transcendentalist poetry in America. This poetry will shine with the light of truth. James Russell Lowell is of the opinion that this lecture marked the beginning of a new cultural epoch in America literary field. Next, man is दस से लेकर के of the shift. Explanation with reference to the context. According to the old fable, God divided man into men so that he might be helpful to himself. Man is all. He is priest, scholar, statesman, producer and soldier. The fable also tells that the individual must return from his own labor to embrace all the other labors. He must act as the whole man, but unfortunately, the whole man is subdivided into so many units, and these different units cannot be gathered to form a whole. In the modern materialistic world, man is reduced to a thing, rather, he is being transformed into so many things. Emerson explains his view with the help of an example of different workers. For example, the farmer who has been sent out to work in the field to produce food seldom has any idea of the value of his work. He does not see anything beyond his work as a farmer. He sees only his wassail and his cart. Therefore, he remains merely a farmer rather than the man on the farm. In the same way, the merchant hardly gives any ideal worth to his work. He is badly ridden by the routine of his work, and his soul becomes a slave to money. Likewise, a priest becomes a formal figure, an attorney becomes a mere law book, a mechanic a mere machine, and a sailor becomes a mere rope of his ship. Emerson means to say that the whole man is forgotten and is divided into so many personalities to perform their respective tasks. The whole man suffer at the cost of individual selves of man. In these lines, man symbolizes oversoul. This oversoul is reflected into so many souls. Individuals. Emerson also tells that man has preoccupied himself into affairs of the world and thus has forgotten the main purpose of human existence, which is the eleva of soul to the divine level. नेक्स्ट है द एस्ट्रोनॉमर से लेकर बाई इंसाइट explanation with reference to the context. In his famous essay entitled The American Scholar, R.W. Emerson tells that the most important influence upon the mind is that of nature. Men and women all are bound to nature. The scholar is also charmed by her. Nature is present in the mass and atom. Man's mind learns that in spite of all different forms in nature, all her objects are interrelated to one another because they are all made of the same matter and are ruled by the same laws that rule the human mind. In these lines, Emerson explains that the astronomer realizes this fact very well, so does the chemist and the scientist. All these reach the same conclusion about the interrelationship of the objects of nature and the human mind. Emerson further tells that the scientist takes up the refractory facts and considers the nature of all these strange aspects. He then classifies them and tries to trace the law governing them. The insight of the scientist goes deep into the last fiber of the material things to reach the conclusion that they are made of the same material and are governed by the same rules and laws. But he also realizes that matter is the external form of nature and hence the inquiries of the scientist are confined to the outskirts of nature. In other words, the scientist dwells only on the external aspect of the things. Here Emerson intends to say that the scholar, like the scientist, should try to pierce with insight the external forms of nature, which are in fact the border of the university soul. नेक्स्ट है ही सेल्सी से लेकर नॉट possesses. Explanation with reference to the context. In this extract, which has been taken from Emerson's famous essay entitled The American Scholar, the writer tells about the experiences of the scholar in regard to nature. He will soon realize that he and nature proceed from the source. It may be said that the one is the leaf, the other is the flower. Interrelation is present in every aspect of the two. When his spiritual light has learned to worship the soul, he shall look forward to an ever expanding knowledge and he will look like a creator in the making. In these lines, Emerson tells that when the scholar has studied nature in philosophic terms, he shall certainly find that nature is the counterpart of his soul. It answers to it part by part. His own soul is the image of the original soul, which is the real seal. In other words, human soul is the image of the universal soul. Further, man, a scholar, will also find that beauty of nature is the beauty of his own mind, and also that the laws of nature are the laws of his mind. Emerson means to say that the rules of nature also rule the human mind and body. As soon as the scholar realizes this fact, nature also becomes the object of his study. Subsequently, knowledge of nature's mysteries becomes the objective of his attainments. नेक्स्ट है द थ्योरी ऑफ से लेकर हिम पोइट्री explanation with reference to the context. In his essay entitled The American Scholar, Emerson tells about the influence of nature on the mind of the scholar. The next great influence into the spirit of the scholar is that of the past in the form of books. According to Emerson, books are the best type of influence of the past. Man can learn the real nature of their influence by considering their value in right perspective. In the lines, Emerson tells about the importance of book. The nature of books is novel. In the earliest stage, the scholar looked at the world around him. Then he thought upon it. After much brooding, he gave it a new arrangement in his own mind. Finally, he expressed his conclusions and opinions in his books. Thus, he gathered his material from life and turned his experience into truth. His short-lived impression turned into immortal thought in his books. Thus, the books of the scholar expressed eternal truth. His task of observation of life around him turned into poetry. Thus, Emerson means to say that the books are a record of immortal truth which are discovered by the scholar out of his own experiences. नेक्स्ट है बुक्स आर से द से लेकर येट अनबॉर्न explanation with reference to the context. In his famous essay entitled The American Scholar, Emerson tells about the importance of books as a potent influence upon the spirit of the scholar. He tells that the scholar produced books out of his observations of life around him. He thought about his experiences and then recorded them as truth in his books. Each age must write its own books. Each generation must write books for the succeeding generation. The utterances of the poet are considered divine. But Emerson tells that books are written by thinkers, not by men thinking. Emerson tells that books must be considered the best things when they are properly used, but when they are not well used they prove to be the worst. The question has always been raised as to their right use and their right purpose for which they are used as a means. Emerson further tells that books are meant for inspiration. To get inspiration is their right use. Books bring a person out of the limits of his own closed minds. They are like a satellite. The one valuable thing in the world is the active soul. This active soul should not be allowed to become the slave of the ideas contained in the books. Every person has an active soul, though there are always obstruction to realize it. नेक्स्ट है एक्शन इज विथ से लेकर एंड हुज नॉट explanation with reference to the context. In these lines, which have been extracted from R.W. Emerson's illuminating essay entitled The American Scholar, the writer speaks of the importance of action for the scholar. He tells that generally scholarly men are considered devoid of action. For example, the clergy have often been branded as effeminate. The so-called practical man sneer at the speculative man. This is the real state of the studious class. But according to Emerson, this is neither just nor wise. However, Emerson says that no doubt action is subordinate to the scholar, but it is absolutely essential. The scholar cannot be without action. Without action, he is not a man in the real sense of the term. Without action, thought cannot be converted into truth. There is beauty in this world, but it remains as a cloudy thing. Man cannot perceive this beauty without action. Emerson calls inaction as cowardice, but a true scholar has to be a heroic mind. He cannot be a coward. He has to be a man of action. Action is a prelude to the thought. It is a passage through which a thought or idea passes from the state of the unconscious so that of the conscious. In other words, action converts the unconscious into conscious. The writer also tells that the knowledge of a man comes into being only by virtue of his mental action. The knowledge of man is in fact the mental action, and it is this much that we know. It is this mental action that shows whether a man is full of wisdom or not. In these lines, Emerson means to emphasize that mental action is the basis of wisdom in the scholar. Hence, action is essential for him. Next, he is to find selector of history. Explanation with reference to the context. In his illuminating essay entitled The American Scholar, R.W. Emerson tells about the education of the scholar by nature, by books, and by action. Then he proceeds to tell about the duties of the scholar. One of the important duties of the scholar is to observe life and discover the facts from the vast crowd of appearances. He is expected to present these facts before others. He must be ready to accept not only poverty and scorn of the pupil, but also solitude. In these lines, Emerson highlights the highest duties of the scholar. In his opinion, the scholar should never feel disappointed even if he has to face so many hurdles in his way. His chief consolation lies in the fact that he exercises the highest function of human nature. In fact, he is a man who is above all personal considerations. He is a man of the world. Emerson calls him the world's eyes and world's heart. In other words, the scholar sees and feels for other people. He is a person who raises himself above petty considerations to the level of highest thoughts. He keeps himself away from uncivilized condition of human society. He must preserve and communicate heroic sentiments, novel biographies, melodious verse, and conclusions of history. In other words, the scholar has to fix his eyes on whatever is novel and dignified in society. Hence, it is his duty to perceive and feel the great truths and convey them to the society. Next, instead of the selector of the time. Explanation with reference to the context. In these lines, which have been extracted from Emerson's famous essay entitled The American Scholar, the writer tells that the present age is an age of introversion. Most of the literary figures are discontented because they do not find the present age as satisfying as their forefathers found theirs. However, the signs of the coming age are visible. In these lines, Emerson tells about the advent of the new age, which will certainly be better than the previous one age. in several aspects. He tells that one of the signs of this new age is the rise of the low class of society. The lowest class of society is being given more and more importance in literature. The low, the common, and the downtrodden is being given due importance in literary works in modern age. It is they that have become subjects of poetry. The major subjects of the new age are the literature of the poor, the feelings of the child, the philosophy of the downtrodden, and the domestic life. Emerson prefers the near and the common to the remote and the distant. He is more interested in the common life of man than the spiritual life. Thus, Emerson dwells upon the fact that the new age is the age of the common man, and the literature of the new age is centered on the life of these common men. Next, another sign of Shelley as greatness. Explanation with reference to the context. In this extract taken from Emerson's illuminating essay entitled The American Scholar, the writer speaks about the new age in which the common man is getting great importance. Now, the major subject of literature are the life of the poor, the feelings of the child, the philosophy of the street, and the meaning of the household life. The idea of the importance of the common man has inspired poets like Goldsmith, Cowper, Burns, Goethe, and Wordsworth. After speaking of the importance of the common and poor man, Emerson refers to the importance of the individuals in modern age. In the present times, the importance is being attached to the single person or the individual. Everything that tends to surround the individual with barriers of natural respect so that he feels that the world is his makes him realize that there is a union between man and that man is certainly great. Emerson means to say that in present times the barriers of politics have fallen and the individual realizes that he is the master of the world and that he possesses a claim to greatness. Thus, Emerson speaks of the tremendous change in the modern outlook. Thanks, best of luck.